Hey, Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm going to get into a way too early 53-man final roster projection here on today's video. Now, am I going to be 100% right? Probably not. I'm sure things are going to change as OTAs wrap up and minicamp and then training camp, but I'm going to give my best shot here at the 53 players who will make the final Eagles roster. Drop a like down below to show some love for doing this video super early. You can also bookmark this video and come back to it when they actually have the 53-man roster, months from now. We'll see how accurate I actually was. So, without further ado, this is an Eagles OTA roster projection. And again, this is going off of my own intuition on who I think should make the roster and, things that you read based on practices during OTAs and minicamp and, based on projections that you read online. And so, again, am I going to be 100% accurate? Who knows? We're going to try our best to go ahead and get this right. Let's start with the quarterbacks. They'll keep 3. Now, we'll talk about Gardner Minshew in a second, but we know for a fact that Jalen Hurts and Carson Strong will be on this roster come week 1. I'd be shocked if Carson Strong is not. He's looked great during rookie minicamp, looked very good during OTAs. Everything is box checked about him minus the knee issue, and it's kind of like how fragile is the knee. Apparently, it is pretty fragile. It's why he went undrafted, but I expect him to be on this roster. Minshew will be on the roster barring a trade. They're not going to cut Gardner Minshew, and he very clearly is the second best quarterback on this roster, and I think they want him to be on this roster come the start of the season in case something happens to Jalen Hurts, misses a couple of games, just like we saw last season. However, Minshew wants a chance to start. He's made that very, very clear. He knows that he will not have a chance in Philadelphia, and so you could see him try to force his way out of Philly in terms of a trade to a team. If another quarterback during training camp has an injury and they need somebody, Minshew would be shopped out and shipped out of there if that was the case. They would then go ahead and add another quarterback. Not sure who that would be, but just know that right now, these are going to be your 3, but Minshew is kind of the guy who could not be there if they wanted to go ahead and trade him. More on that, or people who could be traded a little bit later on in today's video. All right, let's start with this, though. Ad break, pin comment down below. Grade the current Eagles roster. How you feeling about the Eagles roster? I feel great. I think it's an A-. I think that it is great minus 1 safety spot or maybe 2 safety spots, but A- is where I'm at. Give me your grade on the Eagles roster down below right now. Okay, next spot is the running back. I think they keep 4. Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell are the 2 guarantees. They're for sure going to be there. I've mentioned in the past that Boston Scott could be a fringe cut candidate. I think he makes the roster in this projection. I think Kennedy Brooks is your 4th running back out of Oklahoma. Saw Kennedy Brooks up close in person during my time at Baylor. He's a fantastic running back. One of those guys that doesn't get drafted, but eventually plays well in the National Football League. This could be Jason Huntley as well. Maybe Scott doesn't make the roster, and it's Huntley and Kennedy Brooks, but just know that Boston Scott, Kennedy Brooks, and Jason Huntley are kind of in this 3-horse battle for 2 positions right now. Gainwell and Sanders are your 1-2. That's very, very clear. I think Scott is the leader in the clubhouse right now for running back number 3, but we're not going to know this battle until you actually get to training camp and really to preseason, because they run the football a ton in preseason. Every team does, and if Brooks is running better than Scott or Huntley's running better than both of them, they will have the upper edge on winning that final roster spot. But 4 running backs seems very, very secure and a lock to me. Okay, we gained like 100 subscribers over the past week and a half, up to 30,202. If you guys want to join, to me, the best YouTube channel on the entire platform regarding the Philadelphia Eagles, then go down below and subscribe, as we do a ton of great stuff here at Chat Sports to give you guys the latest and greatest content, including roster projections like this. I mean, not a lot of people are predicting what the rosters are going to be here on YouTube. We're trying to do that for you guys here, give you a fun and entertaining video. If you appreciate that, thumbs up, go down below, and subscribe as well. Okay, wide receivers. This one a little more tricky, but I think they keep 7. I think it could be 6, but I think 7 is the number that makes sense today. Smith, Brown, Watkins, and obviously Zach Pascal are all 100% guaranteed to make the roster. I'd be shocked if they do not. I think Reagor does make the roster. More on him in a second. And I think you can have Greg Ward and Devin Allen. Now, Allen is a massive, massive question mark. He might be terrible during training camp, and he might not make the roster. Slide somebody else in. But I think that they're going to keep 7, which is a huge, huge plus for guys like Allen and Greg Ward. Reagor is obviously the polarizing name here on this list, and there'll be a lot of people saying he won't make the final roster. There's no way. He's been too terrible, and he's a bust and all this stuff. Might be true, but Reagor will make this roster. I've made that very, very clear. Unless he just has the meltdown of a century at training camp, he will make the roster. He is more skilled than Pascal and Watkins and Ward and Allen. He is. And he showed that at training camp last year. He was really good at training camp. It's on the actual, NFL game field where he struggles. So he's going to look good during training camp. You're going to hear a lot of hype about him. Maybe it turns out to be true or not, but there's very little chance he's cut. Maybe traded if some team wants to make a move for him, but there's no way he's going to be cut. He will make the final roster. Give me 7 wide receivers. One of those wide receivers is, of course, A.J. Brown. Have you picked up the jersey yet? I talk about it a lot. It's still on, still right now, and still available. Chatsports.com/AJ Brown for a fantastic price that gets you the real deal stuff. I mean, this is not the knockoff brands. And I have two jerseys. I have a Devontae Smith and a Dallas Goedert. One is from overseas, the Dallas Goedert one, cheap knockoff, and one is the actual. It's behind you. It's right over there. You can't see it. You've seen me wear it in other videos. It's the actual, legit Eagle gear that comes from the same website the AJ Brown jersey is, and the quality difference is incredible. I mean, to me, it's worth spending a little extra money on the actual jersey. Pick up your AJ Brown one right now in midnight green, white, or black. Any sizes, men's or women's as well. Link down below in the description box and also on your screen. All right, tight ends. I think you could see 4. Now, this is going to be an interesting battle because Goddard, Calcaterra are the 2 guarantees because they did spend a 7th-round draft pick on Grant Calcaterra. I think he's going to make the roster. I have Tyree Jackson and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside both making the roster, but you can make the case that Jack Stoll will take the roster spot from Whiteside. I'm kind of wishing that Whiteside makes the roster, just the way you can get rid of a 2nd-round draft pick, because I still hope that he's going to be good eventually, but that one I'm not 100% on. I think the first 3, I think they literally like Tyree Jackson when healthy. He was making big strides last year before the injury. It's really that 4th spot to see if it's Whiteside that's going to go ahead and lock it up. Offensive line is simple to me as well. We know these names. Mailata, Dickerson, Kelsey, Samalu, and Johnson. Dillard will be there, barring a trade. Obviously, Juergens. Jack Driscoll, fantastic backup. He will be there. I think Sua Opeta is kept on this roster as well. I think LaRaven Clark is probably going to be the odd man out, especially if Dillard is on the final roster. He's not traded during the offseason or training camp. Samalu is an interesting name here just because of Cam Juergens, obviously trying to push him for that starting spot. I think that if a team makes a good offer for Samalu, they will trade him if they love what Juergens does during training camp. But as of right now, Samalu is on this roster, and if they don't trade him, they're definitely not going to cut him, and so we'll keep him there as potentially the starting right guard or maybe left guard on this football team. All right, there's the offense. What do you guys think? The Eagles have a top 5 offense in the entire league this year. I think they have the potential to. If you agree, drop a like and then comment why you think the Eagles will have a top 5 offense. That talent is just so darn good. But give me your thoughts down below before we go ahead and jump into the defense. Thumbs up, though. Okay, let's see. Defensive line. I think very simple. Graham, Cox, Hargrave, and Sweat are your 4 starters. Barnett will make the roster. They gave him enough money to go ahead and bring him back. Obviously, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams. I think Teron Jackson still stays in this roster. I think he's kind of a dark horse. Not breakout candidate, but could have a decent year, 4 or 5 sacks. And then Noah Ellis, or Elise, how you say his last name, I think they gave him the most guaranteed money of any undrafted free agent, so they feel pretty confident that he's going to make the roster. I say 9 defensive linemen and not a lot of competition in terms of those positions. Linebacker, let's go with 7. Reddick, White, Edwards, Davion Taylor, Dean, and Bradley are all guarantees. They're all going to for sure make the roster. I think Kyron Johnson can go ahead and slide in there as being a super far backup, but those are going to be your main linebackers. Again, there's competition for who starts, Edwards versus Dean, White versus Taylor, but there's not a lot of competition in terms of making the roster or missing the roster. Very clearly, they'll keep those 7. How confident are you guys in the Eagles' defense? Scale of 1 to 10. I've said before, it's the best Eagle defense I've seen in a very, very long time. I'm at an 8 or a 9 on the confidence scale. Give me your confidence number down below in the comments section. All right, cornerbacks, they'll keep 4. I'd be surprised if they keep more than 4. Slade, Bradley, Maddox are obviously all going to be your starters. Maddox there in the slot. Zach McPherson will make the roster. It's going to be really curious to see if they do keep a 5th. I think they're going to be cornerback heavy in terms of probably cornerback and wide receiver and running back heavy in terms of the protected practice squad guys. And so you could see them, only keep 4, but have a guy ready to go on the outside who could be upgraded to the starting roster if someone were to get hurt. But those are your 4 starting cornerbacks. And then again, safety is very simple. I think Harris, Epps, and Kayvon Wallace are your 3. They might keep a 4th there as well, but I think that the 4th will go in the practice squad. Those are your for sure guys. And the battle there, as we have said, is Marcus Epps versus Kayvon Wallace. We'll wrap it up here, moving along just on time. 3 special teamers. Siposs the punter, Rick Lovato, and Jake Elliott. Elliott had a great year last year, and it was kind of underrated, but he was fantastic, and so he obviously will stay as the kicker, and those are your 3 special teamers. I think my math is correct. I think that's 53. I don't think I missed one, 52 or 54, but that is what I think will be the starting 53-man roster, or the projected 53-man roster come training camp and potentially from week 1 of the NFL season. We'll end on this. Who's your favorite player currently on the roster? Favorite player on the roster. Mine is Devontae Smith. I'm a massive Devontae Smith fan. That's why I have his jersey just off screen, just gazing in the distance over there. But give me your pick for favorite player on this roster. Very curious where you guys are at on that. Okay, ultimate for today on my way too early roster projection, but I think I'm going to be pretty darn close on this one, so I'm very curious to read the comments, see your guys' thoughts. For producer Trace, I'm Thomas Mott. Mailbag video later on this week. We sign off for the rest of your day.